Welcome back to Firepower. Today we're cutting through the legal noise to break down one of the biggest shakeups in gun rights in years. A federal bill that could change how concealed carry works across all 50 states. It's called the Constitutional Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act, better known as H.R. 38. It promises to make your concealed carry permit work like your driver's license, valid anywhere you travel. Sounds simple, right? But in practice, it's anything but. From legal battles to political wars, from state enforcement issues to civil rights lawsuits, this story has more twists than a courtroom thriller. So load in, stay focused, and let's break down exactly what this new federal push means for every gun owner in America. Before we get into the politics, let's start with the reality. Right now, America's concealed carry system is a patchwork of confusion. Some states are constitutional carry, meaning no permit is required. Others have strict shall issue or may issue systems that demand background checks, training, and even letters of justification. If you cross state lines with your firearm, even if you're completely legal in your home state, you can instantly become a criminal somewhere else. Thousands of law-abiding citizens have been caught in that gray area, arrested simply for crossing an invisible line on the map. H.R. 38 was designed to end that problem once and for all. So what does H.R. 38 actually do? In plain terms, it says that if you're allowed to carry a concealed firearm in your home state, you can carry in any other state that allows concealed carry, regardless of their local permit system. It makes your carry status portable under federal law. You'd still have to obey each state's specific location restrictions. For example, you can't carry in schools or government buildings where state law prohibits it. But your right to carry wouldn't vanish just because you traveled. The concept is reciprocity, national recognition of your state-issued carry privilege. But here's where it gets more complicated. H.R. 38 doesn't erase all local power. States could still designate sensitive places where carry is prohibited, and private property owners could still ban firearms on their premises. What the bill changes is the legal baseline. It means that lawful gun owners traveling across state lines can't be punished for doing what's legal at home. Supporters call it a common-sense fix, a way to unify an inconsistent system that criminalizes honest citizens. Opponents call it a dangerous federal overreach that overrides state sovereignty and weakens public safety rules. To understand the stakes, you have to look at the legal backdrop. In 2022, the Supreme Court's landmark Bruen decision changed everything. The court ruled that any restriction on carrying firearms must be consistent with the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. In short, the government can impose arbitrary modern limits without historical precedent. That decision unleashed a wave of lawsuits challenging restrictive state laws, especially in states like New York, California, and Hawaii. The Bruen decision is the reason H.R. 38 suddenly became politically possible. Supporters argue it aligns with the court's logic. If the Second Amendment protects the right to carry, that right shouldn't vanish when you cross a state border. So what's actually happening with H.R. 38 right now? The bill was introduced in Congress and has already passed through the House Judiciary Committee with strong support. It's gaining momentum in the House of Representatives, where the majority supports nationwide reciprocity. The next hurdle is the Senate, where it faces a tougher road. Opposition from states with strict carry laws, intense lobbying from gun control groups, and questions about federal authority. Even if it passes, legal challenges are guaranteed. States that oppose the measure will take it to court, claiming it violates their power to regulate firearms locally. That means the ultimate decision could end up right back at the Supreme Court, the same place where Bruen started it all. Let's break this down into real-world consequences. If H.R. 38 passes, here's what it would mean for you. Imagine you live in Texas and have a valid concealed carry permit. You drive to Illinois to visit family. Today, that's a legal nightmare. Illinois might not recognize your permit, and carrying concealed there could land you in jail. Under H.R. 38, that trip becomes simple. Your right to carry would travel with you, subject to local restrictions like no carry zones. That's the ideal scenario. But in practice, there will still be friction. Law enforcement agencies in different states will have to verify out-of-state permits. They'll need new systems to confirm validity. And mistakes, wrongful detentions, miscommunications, or outdated databases will happen. The bill also includes something new and controversial: a private right of action. That means if you're wrongly arrested or denied your right to carry under H.R. 38, you could sue the agency responsible and recover legal damages. Supporters call that accountability. Opponents call it an invitation for endless lawsuits that could tie up local police and drain city budgets. Either way, it's a significant shift. One that moves federal protection of gun rights from theory into enforceable reality. So who wins and who loses if this law goes through? The winners are law-abiding gun owners who travel frequently, truck drivers, business travelers, military families. Anyone crossing multiple states would finally have consistency and peace of mind. National gun rights groups see it as a huge step toward normalizing the right to carry nationwide. But opponents argue that the real losers could be states with stricter laws who would be forced to accept permits from states with looser standards. A state that requires training and background checks might have to honor a permit from a state that doesn't. Or even a constitutional carry state where no permit exists. That's where the legal battles will explode, not over the idea of carrying, but over whose rules apply when two states collide. Now let's get practical. Here are 5 things every concealed carrier should do right now. First, know your home state law and keep your documentation current. Permit, training certificate, and valid ID. If H.R. 38 passes, your paperwork is your passport to carry. Second, understand that even under reciprocity, sensitive places still apply. Federal buildings, schools, and private businesses can still ban firearms. Third, keep digital copies of your permits and receipts on your phone. If questioned, you want proof of legality. Fourth, if you travel often, check resources like USCCA or official state reciprocity maps to stay up to date. And fifth, practice legal discipline. Reciprocity doesn't mean recklessness. Respect local officers, know the signage, and always follow the 4 rules of firearm safety. Of course, not everyone is celebrating. Opponents of H.R. 38, including several major law enforcement organizations, warn that nationwide reciprocity could cause confusion in the field. How will officers verify out-of-state permits on the spot? How do they distinguish valid digital copies from forgeries? Critics argue that this could slow traffic stops and increase officer risk. Some states, particularly in the Northeast, worry that their stricter screening standards will be undermined. Gun control advocates also claim that uniform reciprocity will make it harder to track illegal carriers and could escalate public safety risks. But supporters point out that permit holders as a group have some of the lowest crime rates in the country, often lower than police officers themselves. Legally, H.R. 38 walks a tightrope between the 10th Amendment, which reserves powers to the states, and the Second Amendment, which protects individual rights nationwide. That's the constitutional collision at the heart of this debate. If the bill becomes law, expect lawsuits from both sides, states claiming overreach and citizens suing for violations of their federally recognized rights. The result will likely define how much power the federal government has to standardize carry laws, and whether states can keep their patchwork of individual rules. Now, what about the timeline? In the best-case scenario, H.R. 38 could clear the House within months, then move to the Senate by year's end. Realistically, it could drag out into 2026. Even then, the moment it passes, litigation begins. Courts will test it against Bruen, against state constitutions, and against every technicality lawyers can find. So while the idea of nationwide reciprocity sounds like overnight change, the real shift will unfold in waves, first legal, then administrative, then practical. Expect confusion before clarity. At this point, the question becomes bigger than the law itself. What kind of country do we want to live in? One where your rights travel with you, or one where the line on a map changes everything about your freedom? The answer depends on how we balance liberty and safety, and how much trust we have in citizens versus systems. Before we wrap up, here's the firepower reality check. No law, no court, and no administration can remove the responsibility that comes with carrying a firearm. Know your weapon, know your laws, and know your limits. Whether you're in a constitutional carry state or a permit-only zone, the duty of safety never changes. This is not a political game. It's a question of discipline, awareness, and respect for both life and liberty. So, what should you do now? Stay informed. Subscribe to Firepower for verified updates as this story evolves. We'll track H.R. 38 through Congress, follow the court challenges, and break down what it means for real carriers, not just politicians. Comment below. Do you support national reciprocity, or should states keep control? Tell us why. Because in the end, this fight isn't just about laws, it's about what kind of freedom survives across 50 states. This is Firepower, where we test fact against fear and clarity against chaos. Stay sharp, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next briefing.